Iozzo's Garden of Italy. It's not that difficult to say. It's really not.
But it was a little bit ago.
Evidently, I don't know how to say these words. Iozzo's Garden of Italy. See, it's just there. I want to introduce to you Katie Harris, owner of Iozzo's. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You're more than welcome.
Aren't you glad we got the name right finally?
Well, it's a common thing that happens. I have to explain the name almost every day. People come in. How do you say the last name? So every day.
But do they botch it up like I did?
But do they mess up the word Italy?
Can't go wrong with Italy. Oh, evidently, Sparks can.
Best part of the day.
Well, we hear there's a pretty great backstory to Iozzo's. You care to share it with us?
Sure. No, I'd be happy to. So Iozzo's Garden of Italy was originally opened by my great-grandfather Santora, my grandfather Dominic, and my great-uncle Vincent. It sat where the Hyatt Hotel currently sits downtown today, 32, 34, 36 South Illinois Street. And in the 1930s, it was the largest restaurant in the Midwest. Their dining room sat 500 guests, and then they had a banquet room that sat an additional 350.
Holy moly.
Absolutely. So when you went to dine in Indianapolis in the 30s, you went to Iozzo's Garden of Italy. They had dinner and dancing on the weekends. They had vaudeville acts touring through. We have some really fun stories. Through the Prohibition, they used to have false steps where they used to keep cask of whiskey and wine. And if you were a friend of the family, you were presented with a Fred Iozzo OK card, and you would lay that down, and in your teacup, they would bring you either red wine or whiskey, which is kind of fun.
Those are my kind of people.
That's pretty cool.
So those are some really
fun. Are you carrying on that tradition? That would be awesome.
Unfortunately not, but we do have a VIP membership program, which is kind of a
But
fun
do you have a
part
VIP membership program?
Well, family. Yes, so.
And then there's a pretty dramatic story that is not often told outside of the restaurant.
Outside of the restaurant,
but I hear
no.
you might be willing to tell us.
I'd be happy to today. So the business was going extremely well. And then one evening of October of 1940, my grandfather Dominic was tending bar, and his sister Mary was sitting up at the end of the bar finishing up her serving shift. A couple of gentlemen come into the restaurant and sit up at the bar and order a few cocktails. Not a big deal. Well, at some point in the evening, they began making passes towards my great-aunt Mary. Well, my grandfather didn't like that too much and said, gentlemen, if we can finish up and
Move
get
on.
out.
Wrap it up, sir.
You don't have to go home, but you got to get out of here. So they began, they said no. So they began arguing with my grandfather. The argument turned into a brawl. At one point, the brawl was a complete commotion. And so my great-grandfather, who's in the office, hears what's going on. And so he comes out and sees what's going on. And was like, oh, they're going to kill my son. So he goes back into the office and grabs his gun.
Oh.
Yeah, he did.
And at this point, he comes back out, and then one of the gentlemen is on top of my grandfather, strangling him. So my great-grandfather shoots the gentleman who's on top of my great-grandfather. Well, the bullet passes through this gentleman and lands in my grandfather's spleen.
Oh.
My great-grandfather freaks out, runs, throws the gun in the dumpster, and was like, oh my gosh, I just shot my son. And so they call the police, they call the ambulance, and if you weren't taken to the hospital, you were taken down to the police station for questioning.
Yeah.
Well, nobody knows what happened. Everybody had a different version of the story. And unfortunately, that night, the gentleman passed away who the bullet passed through. And so the police charged my grandfather and my great-grandfather with murder. During the discovery process, they dropped the charge against my grandfather, but the charge against my great-grandfather still stood and went to trial in January of 1941. Extremely hostile time to be an Italian American, everything going on in Chicago, overseas.
Right.
And they wanted to make an example of we're not going to stand for this violence in the state of Indiana and the city of Indianapolis. So the courts and the paper kind of labeled it as the sensational trial of Fred S. Iozzo. And my great-grandfather was eventually convicted, but convicted of involuntary manslaughter, sentenced to prison, didn't spend any time behind bars, became the personal chef of the warden the day he got there, and was released about 18 months later. But part of the sentencing was the family was never able to get our tavern license, our liquor license back.
Right.
So they were never able to reopen the restaurant. Well,
Was that official, or they just kind of never allowed it to come through?
I think never allowed it to come through, and then just, the family
all
just
red
kind
tape
of,
and...
it was one of those things. They were so heartbroken and so embarrassed about what had happened. They didn't want to reopen the restaurant. Well, 70 years later, with the help of some family and friends and the permission of my grandmother, who was still alive at the time, we decided to give it a go again and opened it at 946 South Meridian Street. And in August of 2009, opened with the same spaghetti and meatball recipes that we were serving in the 1930s.
Katie, that's freaking awesome. That is an incredible story.
Yeah, it is.
Absolutely.
It is a crazy story.
It's amazing.
It's a tragic story
Yeah.
for our family and what happened, and for the families that were involved. But it's kind of a rebirth of just trying to get a little bit of our history back into the city.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
And you think there's not that many families that have that history that goes back that far.
Yeah, my great-grandfather landed here in 1916 in Indianapolis, was working for the railroads. And so 100 years later, in 2016, with the picture that's kind of behind the wall, we went out to California and we're working with a winemaker to create our own signature wine. So it's named after my great-grandfather, Santora, and it's called Santora Sangiovese.
Who are these gentlemen?
That's my grandfather there on the left, and then my great-uncle Vincent on the right there.
Oh, look at that.
And that's
That
a
is
photo
awesome.
of the inside of the restaurant. So
All right, the team has to go there.
We're going.
would love
That's
for you
too
to
cool.
come to the
Yeah,
restaurant.
yeah,
Absolutely.
Please have all the wine ready.
We will absolutely have
Thank
all
you.
the wine ready.
As a female business owner, I have a couple of questions there.
Sure.
Obviously, you have, as we just heard, it's a very deep family history in this business and in the
Yes.
restaurant itself. Tell us a little bit more about your experience and your journey as a female business owner here in Indy.
Okay,
because I
sure.
love hearing
Yeah.
each unique perspective. Every time we have somebody on here, I want to hear like, what's your journey been like, and why have you stayed in Indy?
Sure.
'Cause you could
Yeah.
be anywhere.
Yeah, no, I was born and raised in Indianapolis. I went to Roncalli and then got my undergrad at Ball State University and a corporate finance degree. And then I moved back downtown and worked in, a high-rise building in a finance department for a few years. And opportunity presented itself to get into the restaurant business. And hospitality has always been a big thing in my family. I worked as a hostess in a restaurant growing up and things like that. And just kind of getting back into our family history, and it wasn't a set thing. The building kind of found me.
Just happened, huh?
It did, and I think this is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm passionate about it. I love what I do every single day. And, I get to share my life and my family's history with the city of Indianapolis, as well as meatballs and wine. And I get to work with a lot of my family members, which is an amazing thing. And I feel honored that I get to be ahead of it, so be in charge of it. So.
Good for you.
That's cool. And you there's a lot of restaurants. There's a continual growth of new fledgling restaurants that are coming along, and there is this kind of thermal layer of restaurants that they unfortunately kind of flame out very, very quickly because maybe they weren't wired for food and beverage, because that is a discipline unto itself that if you don't know it, if you've not even experienced inside of restaurant management, right, you just have no idea what the stresses
The day to
are.
days, the ins and outs. Every day something is breaking. But I think that's with every business where there's always trials and tribulations every single day. You never know what you're going to be walking into.
Sure.
You have a basic idea and a plan of how the day is going to go, but something is going to pop up. And if you're just passionate about it and you have a great team behind you,
Right.
I think that hard work and dedication pays off.
To continue, you're also demonstrating something to the rest of those restaurateurs that they need to plug into the community and not just give up if something doesn't really work right, because you can bring your family into it. You can actually set up a legacy.
Make roots.
Roots, absolutely. And that's really, whenever you start giving back to the community and you have those type of relationships, and we've had a number of restaurateurs that is their key factor of success. If they can actually connect with the community they serve, right?
Yeah.
Then they're there forever.
I love Indianapolis. I love being here. Like I said, I was born and raised, and you said you could go anywhere, but my family, the story wouldn't work in Columbus, Ohio.
No.
My family was rooted here in Indianapolis, and I love being a part of Indianapolis and downtown. So
I love it.
Yep. That's awesome. So the private label wine that you were just referring to,
Yes.
right? The 100-year celebration, commemorative wine, that's available only in the restaurant.
that's
right
correct.
now.
Yes, at the restaurant, or you can take it to go. But yes, we do have bottles available. And this will be the only vintage of the Sangiovese that we have. This past year, we went out again and made a new vintage called Dominic's The Incident after my grandfather.
Oh, wow.
And it's a Zinfandel Cab blend, but this will be the one and only Sangiovese.
That's
so.
a good one.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the ones that I like.
Absolutely. So jump into the menu for a little bit.
Oh, sure,
Because
absolutely.
obviously
Yeah.
meatballs and spaghetti. Those and you've got.
It is a pasta-heavy menu,
Yeah.
but we do have a lot of fresh seafood flown in daily. One of our most popular items is our scallops and goat cheese appetizer. It's pesto-crusted scallops served with a little bit of roasted red pepper, a little bit of marinated artichoke hearts, and some warmed herb goat cheese, served over a little ciabatta crisp, and it's kind of a perfect appetizer bite.
Yeah.
We do desserts in-house. We make this amazing pavlova dessert. It's a chocolate meringue that we serve with fresh whipped cream and a berry compote. We also have traditional Italian desserts such as tiramisu and cannolis.
Cannolis, yes. Oh my gosh,
And they're
Katie.
mini cannolis, so it's like 1 or 2 perfect bites. It's,
Or 9.
yeah, we serve. They come in sets of 4, so you're good.
Perfect.
Oh,
I'll
wow.
take 2.5.
I'll
and
take
I'll
a
eat
flight of cannolis, please.
And then what about your chicken parm? Because that's like my favorite thing.
It's, you know,
That's chicken
it's,
parm right there. No, that's
no,
not.
that's,
That's the
chicken piccata.
The piccata. Yeah.
Yeah, no. So chicken parm is one of those dishes that I love. It's kind of my comfort food.
Yeah.
And when Peyton Manning did those commercials a few years ago, the chicken parm, you taste so good. I've really seen our increase in chicken parm sales go up. So
Thanks, Peyton.
I appreciate that. So, but it's delicious. So it's a hand breaded Parmesan breaded chicken that we pan fry and then serve over a bed of spaghetti tossed with our Iozzo sauce and topped with little
Yum.
mozzarella provolone and Parmesan cheese.
Sounds like a good option for date night. Just saying.
Ryan, that's a signal to you.
Ryan, make a
Pay
reservation.
attention here.
Also, you have daily drink specials and daily half-price appetizers too. Tell us about that.
So every day of the week, well, Monday through Thursday, we do offer drink special, or I guess Sunday through Thursday. So Sundays, even during Colt season, we do have $3 draft beers, and Mondays we have half off our house wines, and Tuesday I think it's 25% off bottles. Wednesdays half price wines by the glass. Thursdays signature
There it is.
martinis.
Sorry.
Are
What day of the week
What
is
day
today?
is it? Rewind,
Wednesday.
rewind.
That is today, so we could go after work here and have a glass of wine.
I'm sorry, the show is over.
Drop the mic.
I will crawl out from beneath this table right now.
Very, very cool. Well, you've got the patio season coming up
We
as
do.
well.
We do. We have an amazing courtyard behind the restaurant that we have live music every Wednesday to go along with
Wednesdays
half-price
are a
glasses
great
of wine.
day for us.
It is a great day at the restaurant. It's so much fun. So we have live music and a beautiful courtyard. Everybody that comes in says, "Oh, this reminds me of one of the Little Italy restaurants in Chicago or New York." We have the string lights above. It's a granite paver, cobblestones, and we have a music outside and fountain and beautiful flowers.
Sounds
So
fun.
That's where we conduct our Edge of Italy.
The edge of
events.
Italy.
Yes.
Or Italia.
Or Italian, whatever that was. See. I mean, we're trying to push past it, and
I
you just
can't.
said
It needs to be highlighted and
that's going to turn into a meme.
promoted
I'm
in and
thinking.
of itself.
So, some dates coming up for the courtyard opening.
we haven't.
We don't
It's
know yet.
normally the second Thursday in May.
Yep.
Kind of just depends on what the season holds, and we like to get it, after Mother's Day.
Probably
so we
snow.
can get the flowers
You
planted.
stop
and-
it. Not snow.
Well, last year it poured down rain, so we had to push it back a week. But
Hopefully,
So we're pretty
Mother Nature
flexible.
cooperates this year.
Any
She's
special
normal,
dates throughout the year?
well, we always do a seasonal menu. So right now we're in the flavors of the sea, kind of our Lent menu. So seafood heavy, vegetarian heavy. We have some really great things. We're doing a grouper Parmesan, which is kind of fun. A traditional cacio e pepe. And then let's see, what else do we have on there? We have a really cool red quinoa risotto with a roasted vegetable. So it's kind of a play on risotto with a red quinoa. So a little bit healthier option.
Yeah.
So it's delicious.
That's interesting. I
So we do
hadn't heard
that. And then in summertime, we kind of do some fun summer things. In fall, butternut squash
Warmer.
ravioli
Yeah.
and all that good
Heartier,
stuff.
kind of. What do you have to say to anyone who has not been to Iozzo's? Why should they come see you and visit you and eat all the food?
Well, I think that I don't know what to say to people.
Just because.
It's traditional Italian food with a little bit of modern flair. There's always family members there, and we offer a really cool dining experience. It feels like you're dining at our family's table, and that's what a lot of people say, that they feel very welcomed. It is an upscale restaurant, but they feel very at home, and can have a big bowl of spaghetti and meatballs in a white tablecloth restaurant. So.
Yeah, I do that. Yep. Very good. Well, let's remind our viewers and listeners of your address one last time.
Sure, it is 946 South Meridian Street, located between McCarty and Morris Street.
And you said it's a little poppin' area right there.
It is, yeah. We have Shapiro's Deli and J.P. Parker Flowers. There's a new hair salon that opened up. We have a jewelry store and optical shop, and
You can make a day of it in one block. The website is going to be on the screen right here. It's iozzos.com right there. You can also check out Iozzo over at facebook.com/Iozzos and Twitter. Iozzos. Very good. Check
Good
on the
marketing.
socials. Absolutely. Well, we certainly want to come down there and participate.
Oh, we'd love to have you.
I think we may want to break off an edge and jump on down there and have some wine next time we're doing our show.
great.
How about that?
Sounds great.
Can I get that signed in ink? That's out?
I may sign it, but I may probably forget when I sign because I'm having strokes on the.
Just be a scribble.
That's how I sign my name out. Okay. Well, we certainly appreciate
Thank you,
the time, Katie.
Oh, thank you
and
very much for having me.
You're
I really
more than
appreciate
welcome, and keep up the good work. And it's great to be able to see a family legacy really plug back into Indianapolis, and it's great to be able to be a kind of a Sherpa for all the other restaurants that are out there.
Keep it in the fam. I love it.
Very proud of it.
Absolutely. All right. So, want to make sure that everybody downloads our podcast. If you didn't catch the show and fast forward through the intro. Jump into the meat of the matter.
Or replay it 6 or 7 times. Whatever makes you happy.
So we'll want to make sure that you know that we don't have a show next week. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time from now, and we'll be talking to who?
It's a surprise.
Oh,
In the
see?
meantime, go to edgeofindy.com and play catch up on episodes you might have missed.
But catch up on episodes you might have missed.
Or whisked.
There we go.
It's
It's all
happening.
come back.
Katie, it's happening again. Get out of here.
Hey, make sure that you like us on Facebook and share and give us a review as well on iTunes, anywhere that you're listening to the podcast, because those type of ratings and reviews certainly will help get the word out of what we're doing on the show to the rest of Indianapolis. So we really we hope our watchers and our listeners are giving us the best support possible, because we love what you guys are doing on a regular basis. Kind of like, okay, I'm just going to stop here. I need a nap. That's what I need. Or a glass of wine.
Also, the best close of the show we've ever done. So
Unbelievable. Just
nailed
take me
it.
off the mic. All right. For all of us over Edge of Indy and Site Strategics, thanks so much, and we'll talk to you on the Edge. Bye-bye.